All right, today we are ranking all 24 racetracks on the F1 calendar grid for 2024, and we are going to rank them right now. Starting off with the home GP, the USA Grand Prix around Austin, Texas. And to be honest, the track does have a lot of things that it gives, but the racing isn't always the best. I don't think we've ever had a really good racer. It does provide some good flowing corners, and racing on it is really cool. So I must say it's just a little bit mid, just a little bit under mid. So we'll do C for USA. Now the next one we got is Australia, Melbourne, which we just recently had a race there. And honestly, this race doesn't really provide that many bangers, to be quite honest. The only time this race really provides any bangers is when Red Bull miraculously somehow ends up DNFing here. But other than that, there really haven't been too many great races around here. The track does flow really well though, especially after they added that long straight that leaded to that quick left-right chicane. So I think for Australia, this one as well, we're gonna put in the C tier. Still average, just a bit mid. Okay, so the next one we got is Azerbaijan. Now Baku, a track in itself, is one of the worst tracks on the grid. It's just a lot of 90-degree corners. I mean, the final sector is a little bit fun, but for some reason Azerbaijan just always seems to give some of the best races, and most of the time never lacking action. So I think we're gonna put Azerbaijan in the D tier just because of the racetrack, but it always still provides excitement. So next we have the season opener of Bahrain. Now this might be a hot take, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I don't like this layout of Bahrain. To me, I think the best layout that Bahrain has is the one where it's ran on the outer, just because it provides so much more overtakes, and it's honestly such a fun track just because you're going so quickly around the lap.
It was perfect. Everything down to the last minute details.
And honestly, I wish they would replace the GP version with the outer layout. It would make things so much more fun. Don't get me wrong, the facility is great. The track is awesome to drive on. Doesn't ever provide really good races. So I think I'm gonna put it somewhere in the B tier. I think it's really good of a racetrack to race around. And if you put the outer rim, it definitely would be in the A tier. But yeah, it's still kind of an average racetrack with some all right racing. Okay, so next we have Belgium. This legendary track always offers some great track racing, but unfortunately the races aren't always the best here at Belgium. Now sometimes you do have some good races when you do have wet weather, but you can't have too much rain. If not, they just cancel the whole GP. So I think about Belgium, just the fact that the track is just magnificent, one of the best tracks on the calendar to race around, but not great with excitement. I think I'm gonna put it in the B tier. All right, now we got Brazil, Sao Paulo. This track, it is legendary in my opinion. Like, this track offers great racing, offers excitement, and it's a historic track that has plenty of history on, as well as just flowing amazing. I mean, the middle section of the track is just mwah, it's just beautiful. I think we're gonna put Brazil, Sao Paulo in the S tier. So the first S tier on the list.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Canada, Montreal. This track, okay, very fun to drive on, does offer a little bit of excitement, but again, one of just a mid track. I think Canada, really, you don't have much to say. I mean, you get the world champion and the racetrack is very flowing and fun, but I think I'm just gonna have to put it in the C tier. Just like Lance Stroll, it's just kind of there. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Okay, the next one we got is China, Shanghai. Now, I haven't seen any races in Shanghai in a very long time. It's not because every single time they race around China, I have to be awake at 1 a.m. to just watch the race. But most of the time I've seen China races, they're just kind of average, but the track is great. I think I'm gonna put it in the B tier, just because the track just flows very well and just compensates for the lack of racing that they have here on Shanghai. Although sometimes they do have some bangers. All right, Silverstone. Now this one immediately goes to the E.
Got him!
Silverstone is one of those tracks that's just literally just non-pack action, great flowing racetrack, and a lot of history as well, just like Sao Paulo. I mean, come on, you have to put in some bangers like the fight between Hamilton going through the field trying to win his race back in 2021 after taking out Verstappen. You also have to remember some of the moves that happen around this track. How can we forget?
Perez goes off the track, cuts the chicane, off goes Leclerc, through goes Hamilton. Unbelievable stuff coming out.
This track offers so much excitement and good races, and on top of that, it's a really fun track to race around. So I'm gonna put it in the S tier with Sao Paulo. All right, so now we got a new one on the grid, Imola. Imola had been on the F1 calendar for a while, but they got rid of it for a bit, and it just made an appearance back around COVID time. So it's great to see Imola back. Really fun racetrack, offers a lot of excitement. Who can forget recently with the races that we've had here, or that one time when they had that wet race where Lewis Hamilton had to reverse it out of the dirt. Emilia Romagna, great racetrack, awesome races take place here. So we're gonna put this in the A tier, just shy of the S tier. So next we got Monza. Now Monza. I'm just gonna say this right now, not the best track for the F1 calendar.
What?
Sometimes they have great races, sometimes they have boring races, but Monza in itself, the track is just amazing. Like, I really enjoy racing around this track. It is the temple of speed, and I think it just provides some really great racing when it's not Formula 1 cars. When it's Formula 1 cars, I don't think there's much great racing, but for some reason, Italy always grants us with surprise winners. Ricciardo when he won with McLaren, Pierre Gasly when he won with AlphaTauri, and of course when Vettel won with Toro Rosso. Historic track, famous, flowing racetrack, but just for some reason doesn't always provide the greatest excitement. But because of the history and how great of a track it is, we're gonna put it in the A tier. Okay, so we're going to get to the Grand Prix that I actually attended live, and that is Suzuka. Now, Suzuka, I love this racetrack. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoy this racetrack. Probably one of the best flowing racetracks in the world. And of course, it comes from Japan. Japan just knows how to make racetracks. They literally just eat, sleep, and breathe racing. I don't know why the world can't take a page out of Japan's notebook and make racetracks like they do over there. I mean, they got Fuji, they got Autopolis, they got Suzuka, they got Tsukuba. They got so many great racetracks over there. But although Suzuka is one of the greatest racetracks, the racing with the F1 cars isn't the best. So when I did go watch this live, I saw how it's very difficult to overtake with the F1 cars. And to be quite honest, it wasn't that great of a race. It was kind of a snooze fest. Again, very historic track, great racetrack to race on. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a lot of action. So we're going to put Japan in A tier. It's a very legendary track. If it would have provided more great racing, I definitely would have put it in S tier, but because of the lack of racing, we're gonna have to put it at A. Okay, so this one's gonna be interesting as we have the newest racetrack and my hometown track that unfortunately I wasn't able to go watch because the tickets were just so astronomically expensive. We have Las Vegas Strip. This one, a lot of people were writing it off and saying that this was gonna be a terrible race, but it actually led to a really fun, exciting race. Although it's heavily reliant on the DRS, especially down that long Vegas Strip, I mean, it does provide some great exciting race, but the racetrack itself is terrible. I'm not going to lie, guys. When I raced this track on F123, it was one of the most boringest tracks on the F1 calendar, and it didn't flow at all. The only fun part was just that long Vegas Strip where you are able to overtake a lot of people and go really fast. Now, it does provide for some great racing because, of course, if anybody crashes, you basically have to call out a safety car. As far as the track itself, it's terrible, so we're gonna put it down here with Azerbaijan as well. Great action, great racing, but a terrible racetrack. Very lackluster, boring, not that much going for it. All right, next one we got is Mexico. Now, Mexico City is a really interesting one because the racetrack itself, it's not good, nor is it bad. It's just kind of average, and the excitement that it provides, really there isn't one. Now, sometimes you do have some last minute safety cars that excite it just a little bit, but that's basically what everybody is waiting for whenever we're watching this Mexican GP. Average track, not that great of racing. We're gonna put it in the C tier as well with USA, Australia, and Canada. Okay, Monaco. Now, Monaco in itself is a little bit difficult because it's got such great historic value, and this racetrack does provide some decent racing when the cars were a lot smaller, but now that the cars are a lot larger and they're just a bit too quick for the circuit, it's very difficult to put in a good race together. It's mainly just a lot of people just following each other in trains, just waiting for someone to either make a mistake and hit the wall or for rain to happen. Even though it's fun to drive around the streets of Monaco on F123 and other sims, I have to give it a C tier just because although the racetrack is fun to race around, the racing around here now just brings it down so much, so we're just gonna have to put it in C. It's just kind of below average for the times. Okay, so now we have Zandvoort. Now, when Zandvoort first got announced, I didn't realize how the F1 cars were going to race around here just because it's a very small, windy track with some very fast cars. It's almost like another Monaco if you think about it, because the track is just very small and it's made for cars back in like the 80s and 90s. And the elevation provides some really fun twists and turns through the track. Unfortunately, the racing isn't always the best just due to the fact there's not that many overtaking possibilities except for down the straight, but the racetrack itself is very fun, and sometimes you do get some good racing around here. It's just very difficult to overtake. I think that's the only problem. I think this one we're gonna have to put it in B just because it can provide good racing with the F1 cars, and it's a very fun racetrack, but it's just not enough to get it to the A S tier. Okay, so the next one we got is Qatar, the penultimate racetrack that is ran before the final race of the season. Now, this one, it's a little bit interesting because it provides a great racetrack and some great action. Like, a lot of crazy stuff always ends up happening here in Qatar, but as far as the race itself, there really isn't too much racing around Qatar. It is a great racetrack, great facility, but it's just not good enough to get itself into the A and S tier, so we're gonna put it in B because it provides some really exciting drama as well as a nice flowing racetrack. Jeddah. Okay, so we have had a couple of races here in the past few years, and I think Saudi Arabia, before they changed the final DRS, had always provided some interesting races here. The track is really fun and flowing and seems to provide a lot of interesting drama, just because like Las Vegas or Azerbaijan, if you crash around Saudi Arabia, it's basically drawing out a safety car. I think this one we're gonna have to also put it in B tiers. We've had some bangers around here, but we've also had some snoozers around Saudi Arabia, so yeah, I'll put it in the B tier. Okay, so next we got Singapore. To be quite honest, I think the changes that they made last year has really livened up this track. We had such a great race last year, but again, Red Bull wasn't in the picture of the race, so that's what made it really interesting. The fact that we had like a four-way battle for the win. Now, Singapore used to not be the best track. They have done a lot of alterations with this track. Remember they said that corner that was literally just two turtles sitting in the middle of the track, and it would always sling people to the wall? Luckily, they fixed that. And although the grandstand turn was really fun to see cars driving underneath a grandstand, I think they made a great decision getting rid of it and just keeping it a very long straight. This one, it's an all right racetrack to race around, but after last year's drama, I actually look forward to it now, because I remember before I would never really look forward to Singapore. So I think we're gonna put it in the C tier. If we can give us some more action and some more drama in the upcoming years with the new layout, maybe it can make its way up to B tier. Okay, now we got Barcelona. This one's gonna be a little interesting. Like, the thing is, I love Spain. I love racing around here, and they have made some alterations in the past that has made this racetrack a lot easier to overtake, but it's never really a track that has bangers. Like, I think the last time I can remember like an interesting race was when Hamilton and Rosberg actually took each other out. I mean, there have been some times where you have some like really good fights for the win, but most of the time cars just end up spreading out and there really isn't that good of races here. So I think I'm gonna put Spain in C. I think C is where about Spain deserves to be. All right, now we're down to the final four. Next one we have is Austria, Spielberg. Now, Austria is an interesting one because it's got such a great flowing racetrack, but not only that, it also provides for a lot of exciting drama and action around here. I mean, we can forget some of the races that we've had here in the few past years, especially when we had that double header and like 8 cars DNF'd. There was just so much carnage going on during that race. I think Austria, to be quite honest, has made its way to become legendary status, and because of that, I'm gonna put Austria in the S tier, just due to the fact that it's such a great facility, such a great track to race on, and always provides some great drama. I'm always looking forward to Austria. We're gonna put it in the S tier. Oh my goodness. Okay, so they saved some of the worst for last. All right, so Budapest, the Hungaroring. This track, I like it. I mean, I really enjoy racing around here, but without rain, this track honestly just leads to some of the most boring races on the calendar. I think this one we're gonna have to put it in the C tier. The racetrack is, you know, it's fun. It's not like the greatest racetrack in the world, but the racing itself, again, also with these F1 cars, unless there's rain or something, usually pretty boring. So we're gonna put this in the C tier. All right, now we're down to the final race of the season, which is Abu Dhabi Yas Marina. This track has actually kind of grown on me. It actually used to be one of my least favorite tracks on the grid. It honestly wasn't that fun of a racetrack to race around. Just a lot of chicanes and just some random corners. Not a lot of elevation changes. I do dig some of the changes that they made on this racetrack recently, where you had the change to what I believe is turn 5 now, and also the adjustments that they made to sector 3 I think really livened up this racetrack. Never really provides any bangers of a racetrack. I honestly wish they could change Abu Dhabi with another racetrack for the final. Even like if they had a Brazil as the final racetrack like they used to, that'd be awesome. Like I would love to have Brazil as the very last race on the season. I think it would bring an amazing race to the end of the season, but unfortunately it doesn't look like they're going to change it anytime soon, so we're gonna have to put Abu Dhabi here. I'm gonna have to say in the D tier because the racetrack isn't the best, but it's also not the worst at all, and it usually never provides any great races. So yeah, we're gonna put it in D tier. Okay, so now we're down to the last one, Miami. All right, so here's my tier list of every single racetrack that F1 goes to in the 2024 calendar. S tier, we got Brazil, Great Britain, and Austria. D, we got Baku, the Las Vegas Strip, and Abu Dhabi. E, well, this track just doesn't exist. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Tell me if my tier list is correct or incorrect. You can let me know in the comments down below, or you could just write me up on Twitter and just tell me how wrong I am about this list. Anyways, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Again, if you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe button down below. And until next time, guys, hope you have a great day. Peace.